Alrighty, it's Monday, February 13th, and it's just about 2:40 in the morning. Oh, well, isn't it just peachy the way Comments X just keeps flipping around the clock? Well, I just got out my contribution to RightAndProperLadies, just about an hour ago. Got that up. I was delayed in doing it. I crashed a bit on Sunday, and then tried to do some graphic overlay work. That's my gift is my first contribution. Is my first attempt at a video overlay. It went alright. It could have been better, but given the length of time it took to work on it, I think that it was good enough for what it was the first attempt. More work has to be done. I'm going to be trying to do some more work in Unix, Ubuntu BSD Unix Ital. I'm still working on those episodes. I should have them finished sometime today. I'm going to be working late again, as you can pretty well figure out. One of the videos I was watching on NerdsRL, they were getting the one of the persons up. I think it was Zachary. I think it was Zachary or something like that. Up at it was 9 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And the person was still everyone was sort of still sleeping, and they had the expression that 9 o'clock in the morning was too early to get up. I used to be like that, like 9 o'clock in the morning was too early to get up, but it kind of changes if you've been up all night and you're trying to go to bed at 9 o'clock in the morning. I think your perspective on getting up early really goes out the window, because your sense of day is only when you're awake, but not necessarily when it's light outside. Your sense of night is not necessarily when it's dark outside, but simply when you're sleeping. And in standard use of terms, it's really easy to get night and day mixed up. So that's what happens here, is that sometimes I'm referring to the day prior, and I'm not talking about the day prior in terms of the actual Saturday, Sunday, but the last time I was awake. So, I was awake one point in time, went to bed, got up, and this is the second period of time, and the day prior was the first time I was awake in between the time I slept. And this has to be sort of stated, because the term day is not relative to the time of day, but simply when you're awake. And the same thing goes for night. Night is not relative to the time of day, but relative to the point in time when you're sleeping. This brings me over to Bethan's video, which is kind of brought to a funny point, where she's talking about her loo had been blocked up, and that's why she wasn't able to get the week's prior video done. What they call the loo is our bathroom, and it was invented by a guy named John Crapper, so that's where we get the name John from, or the use of the word John for bathroom. So if the loo is the John, can you also call it a Jack then? Because Jack is another name for John. So that was that sort of, I guess, when you're sleep deprived, things become funny in a way that they normally wouldn't be funny if you were, well, you could say it, more sane. because sleep deprivation does bring in a degree of insanity. So that's not necessarily, bad thing to say that you're slightly insane if you're sleep deprived, because it does do that to you. It changes your perspective on what is normal, what's not normal, and what is funny and what is not funny. On to what I've been doing over the weekend, and I'm going to be doing more work on it now. It looks like, in terms of the video editing, that I'm going to be using not one program but several programs to get the video editing done. I need one program to do the titling, one program to do graphic overlay, to set up the to set up the background graphics. I still have an enormous amount of experimentation to do, and a lot of learning that has to be done. Basically, I'll learn the entire video process and then apply it to three-dimensional graphics. So start off in two-dimensional graphic overlays, two-dimensional graphics, and graphic editing, and then migrate from the two-dimensional into three-dimensional. And while it may seem a departure from physics and some of the more high ends of mathematics, it actually isn't, because you can actually sit there, and while you're doing this is one of the products that I'm working on in parallel with the graphics editing, is applying the geometry that you know to this. So basically, as you're doing the graphics, as you're doing the editing, you bring in a number of the elements that you can do the geometry that you know, and basically do a geometric study on three-dimensional objects in two-dimensional space. That's basically, when you're looking at a picture and when you're looking at a video, you're looking at a two-dimensional world, and anything that's 3D is projected into that 2D plane. So you have 3D objects being projected into a 2D plane, or a world, if you want to call it. You can call it a world if you want to. Just to demonstrate the differences. And this actually causes quite a bit of a problem, because when you go from spherical geometry into plane geometry, there's actually a functional difference. And one of the astronomers on YouTube had a video on there about whether or not the universe is flat or not, and they say, well, yes, we know that the universe is flat, and how do astronomers know that the universe is flat? And he goes on to give this explanation that really doesn't actually explain it, because he doesn't go into the fact that in pictures, because he's looking at a picture that was obtained by various satellite images, and these are the infrared satellite images in sort of the microwave region, that when you're looking at this picture, you're looking at a three-dimensional world projected into a two-dimensional plane, and that you can get a degree of flatness from three-dimensional objects when they're projected into a two-dimensional frame. So when you consider this, then the arguments for a flat universe, simply based on the mathematics and what they assume in their mathematics would be, problems pop in, and all of a sudden the clarity of a flat universe starts to disappear, specifically when you start including things like gravity and Einstein's theory of general relativity, which shows that you actually, around black holes and supermassive gravitational bodies, you have curved space. Right? So how can you get flat space from curved space when there's where you see curved space around, black holes, you see them around galaxies. These concept of curved space is out there, and you see it out there. And then he says, well, the whole universe itself is flat, but by what perspective are you saying that? Are you saying this as an absoluteness, or is it this is? And what happens is that as you go into some of the theories and the fundamentals of cosmology, you begin to start seeing some of the holes. And he himself even states afterwards that they're going to redo the experiment and see what happens. Well, the thing is, if you absolutely know something for certain, there's no need to continue on doing experimentation because you know it. So what starts off as a certainty presented, and this guy was an astronomer for, he's often on the Discovery Channel. I think he's also on PBS as well. Some of his stuff pops up on there. And so the question is, at what point in time do you use stuff for the general public as just simply, infotainment, information that is entertaining, or, that's the new term for, they don't want to do documentaries as straight boring documentaries anymore. They want it to be infotainment. It needs to be information that is entertaining. But my perspective is that the exploration itself of the universe is fun. I don't need to have the information being entertaining. So my perspective, and this is where Physics TV is going to be coming from, is going to be coming more from the exploratory side, looking at what we don't know as compared to what we do know. So that's sort of my take on the different things I found on YouTube and around the internet. So that's what I'll be continuing on this week. Is as I do my video editing, I'll be adding in a geometry and spatial recognition study, and eventually at some point in time I'll be adding this to my programming roster, so that I can include a number of these different features rather than having them around scattered around the desktop in different programs. I can start organizing and bringing things together in different suites of software. Anyways, I will see you later on. Again, there is no night and time or date time here, particularly on comment text. You're starting to sort of see this. So the next time should be, well, maybe it might even be sometime later on today, so there might be a second one of this, of comment sex. But it certainly won't be anything earlier than 12 hours. Alright, talk to you then.